Hello everyone and welcome back to Coin Bureau. As you may be able to tell, given the greenery behind us and the insect noise in the air, we are still in Singapore. This is our last day before we pack up and head back to Dubai. I am here with Coin Bureau CEO and co-founder Nick, who you may remember from an earlier interview on Coin Bureau Clips. And we thought we'd just do a quick debrief of our time here over the last week, our thoughts, impressions, takeaways, etc. So, Nick, thanks for coming on.
Great to be on again.
What were your impressions, firstly, of TOKEN2049, the conference, and the kind of general mood of people going there?
I mean, it was quite a polarity with what's happening in the markets, because prior to this, obviously, the question was just sentiment is low, there's general apathy, are we now back to bear market vibes? And then you come here and you see a conference that's just so fully sold out and full of attendance and just a bullish atmosphere. It was insane, from the sponsors to the amount of spending going on to, like they sold out 10,000 tickets. And it's also quite, contrasting with what's going on in the West in terms of other conferences. So we heard a lot about other people and other conferences that had like much lower down than they were last year.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting because it gives you a little bit of bullish feel in yourself. You don't want to be duped into it because, it can be deceptive to a certain degree. But yeah, it was just crazy bullish atmosphere in the conference. And everyone you spoke to seemed to have the same yearning and this interest in crypto. So that's the initial takeaways. It's like, I feel like I've been duped some way.
Yeah, I think that for me was probably the big takeaway from the whole thing is that, Asia seems to be very different. There seems to be a different vibe about crypto in Asia, different levels of sentiment. Obviously, one of the things that we've focused on a lot this week is just not only how much is being built, but how many people in Asia actually use crypto. It's a big thing here, and it seems to differ from country to country. Some countries like, for instance, Thailand and Vietnam, people are using it there because their national currencies are shaky. Yeah. So they're using it, for the store of value or for the remittances side of thing. Then you've got places like Korea, because we heard from a lot of people who've been to Korea Blockchain Week the week before. They're obviously massively into gaming. There's also a lot of very speculative crypto investing there. They drive a lot of traffic for particular tokens a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, that is the case, exactly. I mean, on the payments front, a lot of the sponsors and a lot of the talk was about payment solutions. Obviously, that's of major importance to any country that's got, remittance, for instance, right? That's very important.
Yeah.
Countries like Philippines have got a massive diaspora of expats who want to send funds back. Similarly, and, we're talking about Korea, yes, and, Korea is one of the most crypto crazy per capita countries there is, in terms of like, a lot of times we follow in something of cryptocurrency and you learn about like, it's volumes and traffic and prices driven by factors which you seem to think is like completely out of the blue, and then you learn that it's the crazy crypto Korean degens.
Yeah.
But I think more broadly, it's just like this feeling of, Asian regulations, it's starting to form, right? Like, I mean, it's so much in the past, in China and Hong Kong and in other countries, there was this question of, crypto is outlawed, banned, and it seems that they're rolling that back slowly. And it's a slow process, but I think that is part of the reason that there is this sentiment created around it. And we knew this even before we came out. It's like, we're hearing all about it. You see the Hong Kong crypto regulations, you see China slowly opening up, you see the sentiment, and you say, okay, is it that the West is getting things wrong? Is it that the West, which is, moving towards in the wrong direction with unclear regulations and unclear, guidelines, where Asia itself could kind of be like a shining star? And it's, from what we've seen at the conference as well, it seems to be that. Like I was saying, you don't want to be duped into it because like it's just a conference and it's just other people, and the market itself is completely different.
Yeah.
And there's still global macroeconomic concerns and macro concerns in Asia as well, which could impact on crypto adoption or crypto trading volumes and prices. It's still on the ground level. You feel the excitement and you know that things are changing.
Yeah, definitely a lot more positivity.
Yeah, exactly.
And one thing that we both had in common before we came here was that this was our first time, both of our first time in Singapore, because some of our team members are quite well travelled and have been to all corners of the world. But so this was one place neither of us had been. So what was your What's your read on Singapore? What's your takeaway from the place itself?
It's amazing. I like it. It's obviously, yes. So I was sold a lot on Singapore by another team member, and how amazing it is, and how efficient and that's true. I mean, like the clean, and also how clean ingredients is. I mean, it's the climate. Although it's relatively warm for someone who lives in the West. I think for us coming from Dubai now, it's been a bit of a reprieve from the summer heat. But yeah, it's an amazing city, and it's amazing what they've been able to build. A country that used to be part of Malaysia and was dirt poor like 50, 60 years ago, has now become like a global center of finance. And it's not just the crypto, it's obviously crypto is a good place for it to be here right here in Singapore, because but they've had a startup ecosystem for that for some time, quite a long before that. And just as a trading hub and like as a business center, it's amazing how it's developed. And it's also, it's a very beautiful natural place. Like here we are in this amazing greenery. You guys went to National Park yesterday and I took a walk in the canopies. So I would definitely recommend it's worth visiting. And for anyone who hasn't been, I'm definitely going to be coming back as regularly as possible now that we only one flight, like 6-7 hour flight away in Dubai.
Yeah. It's a lovely place, isn't it? Yeah, I must say, like the greenery of it is incredible. Like it feels very kind of modern in a way, like how a city of the future sort of probably will look and should look. It's, as you say, it's clean, but there's greenery everywhere. I must say the people are lovely as well. I've met some really, really fun, nice people here too. Locals, and also obviously because it's a bit like Dubai in that sense. There are a lot of locals, but there's also like a huge expat community, people from all corners of the world, all corners of Asia.
I think, but it's very diverse. I think it's like a very diverse country with mixed ethnicities, and obviously that cultural blend brings a lot to it, these different perspectives. And and they are very friendly, and it's very efficient. And I think that I mean, as an Asian destination, definitely want to be coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just have a think, because we both kind of came away from the conference itself feeling more bullish. There is a lot to be bullish about, but let's face it, crypto is still in a kind of tricky place at the moment. One of the big talking points, if you like, of the conference was Arthur Hayes, who believes that, I think he's called it the mother of all bull markets, and especially for crypto as well as for other risk assets, is kind of getting very close. Now, we have at the Bureau, I think we're sort of aligned on our outlook in general. Like, we certainly see a bull market coming, but probably not until, not for a few months at least. Has anything that you've seen or heard over these last few days kind of changed your perspective on that? Do you think a bull market might be closer than we think, or do you still see it perhaps towards the really kicking off towards the end of next year or even early 2025?
Yeah, I don't think, as much as it's good to get, I think what this conference was for me, it's not a situation where I've come back thinking, okay, anything different than what I did before in terms of where the markets are going and how things are looking in the markets. More so just a reinforcement of my long-held belief that crypto is the future, right? And that decentralized finance and the how fiat currency itself is obsolete, and we're moving towards a global decentralized financial system. But I think that there's still, obviously the sentiment is good at the conference, but you still look at the market, you still look at what's going on, you still look at regulatory uncertainty, potential like tail risk events in crypto still hang around. The global macro sentiment itself is also kind of not too good at the moment with regards to interest rates are still relatively high, picking up in the US. It's not good for the economy. Inflation came in a bit harder than expected, and there's still so many global macro headwinds that are impacting on liquidity, which obviously liquidity is important for crypto markets and risk assets in general to rally. And like I came back when I was saying, obviously there's sentiment around 2049 for Asian crypto narrative is good. Asia itself is having a lot of macro headwinds, right? So it's like, if they're going to be investors coming in to actually buy crypto and invest in it and hold it and trade it, there's still, the conditions aren't ripe just yet. So, I think that it's good to come here and do these IRL events where there's this amount of excitement, because it kind of reinforces your belief, this underlying belief and this gut feeling of the future of crypto. But it's also not to get carried away, not to go and, leverage X onto 100X Bitcoin when you get back, because you're still feeling the vibes from the conference, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like to say when a crypto, a multiple bull market is coming. I mean, it is for sure in all risk assets, but the question is when, right?
Yeah.
You know, obviously, yes, we've got the halving coming up next year, and everyone looks at the halving as one of these moments in which the bull market should be kicking off. I think that it's difficult to sometimes, you don't want to use past performance as a predictor of future returns. And it's also, yeah, I mean, it impacts on supply and everything, but at the end of the day, it's still, Bitcoin is operating in different market conditions today. It's a different type of adoption level to where it was in the previous halvings. So you can't make, you know, projections into where it could go just because of the impact on supply and coming onto the market. So it all depends on what we're looking at in the macro perspective, but it has been a driver for a long period of time, ever since, you know, the flood of Fed liquidity in 2020 to now, when the liquidity's been sucked out of the system.
Yeah.
But then, you know, within crypto, obviously, it's like the broader macro, the broader crypto bull market in terms of like all cryptos itself. I mean, you could obviously try and find and look at, okay, which cryptocurrency is going to perform better relative to others. Like, we're going to be trading Bitcoin for Ethereum, that kind of stuff. And you could say, for instance, that, you know, I think me personally think Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin in the next year or two. But in terms of the broader macro perspective and where Bitcoin prices and crypto prices and the global crypto market cap are going, it still hasn't changed too much since coming to this conference.
Yeah. Hi there. I just want to take a moment to tell you guys about the Coin Bureau deals page. Now, this is the place where we have put together some of the best promos and discounts in the whole cryptoverse, especially for the viewers of this channel. That is you guys. So, link is in the description. Head on over, find the deal that's right for you. We've got things like airdrop bonuses of up to $14,000 on some of the top crypto exchanges, discounts on hardware wallets, and much, much more besides. So, do check it out. Thanks for watching. I think balance is so important, isn't it? Because, you know, you say coming to an IRL event, and, you know, you get that kind of renewed sense of optimism. And it is an important counter, because I think so many of us in crypto, I know this is something I do, you know, basically live the vast majority of our lives on the internet.
Yeah.
And you spend too much time on places like crypto Twitter, which obviously kind of rewards negativity. And so I think, you know, if you spend too much time online, then your outlook becomes very negative. But at the same time, if you perhaps don't take a read of that, then you can be lulled into sort of a feeling of false positivity. So
yeah,
I guess it's important for anyone interested in crypto, you know, to try and get out and touch grass.
100%, 100%. Touch grass and mix with people who are just passionate with you. It doesn't have to be a conference per se. I mean, even just go to local meetups. That's how it started. That's how people initially got their yearning to actually be involved in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it is a good point you make, because online, and especially on crypto Twitter, where a lot of us exist most of the time because we work remotely as a crypto is decentralized globally, right? The sentiment is rewarded. You know, they do tend to reward like negative sentiment, especially now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to go, like in the past few days, I've been going on crypto Twitter, and you see like, it's just the sentiment is so bad, like real dog shit, right? And then you go to a conference like this, and you see people who build it, and you see how full it is, and you see the talks that are going on, and you think, but, you know, this is kind of cool, because then you meet other people as well. And obviously, similarly, like I can imagine for you as well, to kind of see people who appreciate the content we do and the work you do, and it's like to actually see that it reinvigorates you to a certain degree. We had it at our live earlier this year, and we had it here. So it is good to do these things for sure. It's good to proverbially touch grass for sure. And no better place than Singapore to do that.
There's plenty of grass to touch. Yeah.
But I do. Yeah, like I'm saying in the beginning, I don't want to be. We still have to see how the conference sentiment. This is a very good conference to go to, because it was invigorating. But like, we're going to Bitcoin Amsterdam in like 3 to 4 weeks, so we'll get a sense there. I mean, it could be a complete. If it's dead and every single stand is empty, then.
If the Bitcoin maxis are crying into their beers, then it'll be a different read. Yeah, and it'll be really interesting, I think, to see the contrast, if it exists, between kind of Eastern and Western sentiment.
Yeah.
And of course, there's kind of other things coming on the calendar. I mean, there's going to be another Token 2049 next year in April, so around about the time of the halving on our home turf of Dubai. So I guess we have to try and remember what it feels like at the moment, so as we can contrast that sentiment with how it's going to feel early next year, when the halving is, you know, either upon us or has just happened.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have seen some sort of I mean, some sort of resolution to some of the macro headwinds facing us. But I mean, these are things that are going to be with us for quite a long time. You know, interest rates aren't going to suddenly go back to zero overnight. I mean, that's going to be a months, maybe years long process.
Macro, we haven't even gotten yet to a pivot. Just, you know, inflation's, like I said, the most recent print came up, and it's just the Fed isn't going to pivot or give any sort of, you know, perception of that, because sentiment, because forward guidance is very important.
Yeah.
But I mean, coming back to TOKEN2049 in Dubai, exactly, it'll be a great opportunity to see whether this was just an Asia thing. But then also, to a certain degree, you know, Dubai itself is becoming an amazing crypto hub, right? And then, you know, it's like a bridge nice between East and West, kind of like where you got a lot of crypto companies moving. And it will also be, you know, a good sense of, is this just because at the time of this year in Singapore that all of them are here, and it's a well-attended conference, can they replicate the success in Dubai? But I'm really excited for that. I mean, hopefully we can try and organize some IRL events around that, potentially some side events if possible, because, you know, I think that it's very few times you actually have so many of the crypto ecosystem in Dubai at the same time. When they do have the, you know, the Future Blockchain Summit and that stuff. But I think that in terms of, you know, TOKEN2049 is much more well known, and obviously, you know, the success of this event, they want to try and replicate it there. Yeah. And it's also interesting, you know, that they've moved it from UK to Dubai, right? So maybe it seems like in the future, all crypto conferences are going to be held in Asia or the Middle East.
Yeah, no, it seems to be going that way. Yeah, it certainly seems to be going that way. Okay, well, and of course, let's finish off then, because so the only other thing I wanted to ask you, Nick, I've been here chatting to some people in the industry, most importantly, getting to meet some of Coin Bureau's amazing fans about the place, which is always, for me, the highlight of conferences like this. You have been here kind of working a bit behind the scenes, haven't you? You've been having quite a lot of meetings with various people, you know, stuff to move the channel forward with. There's quite a few things that we're looking at the moment. Has it been successful from that point of view? Have you got a lot to work on when you get back to Dubai?
A lot to work on, yeah, exactly. I mean, I would, in terms of general deal making, I heard that it's not as, you know, for other, if you're a crypto project trying to raise funding, it's maybe a bit more difficult. Yeah. But we're not trying to do that. We just basically came here to see if we can cement some great partnerships with potential partners we work with, and then also local KOLs, if there's any sort of collaboration opportunities to help our mission to educate more people in crypto, ideally in Asia, for instance. Like one of the slants we had was we wanted to come and see, you know, how we could develop a channel ecosystem out here in Asia, and actually take advantage, you know, use the opportunity in Singapore TOKEN2049 to meet local partners who could help us grow a, you know, Asian language channel and just expand out in the ecosystem here. So there were some very formative meetings on that front. And so it was very successful, massive ROI on this, on coming to Singapore from a personal and professional perspective.
Fantastic. Food's been pretty good as well, hasn't it? Had some nice dinners.
It's been very nice dinners, a lot of it for free. Well, some funded by the company, but a lot of it other by partners. And I mean, the cool thing about events is always the free stuff. Absolutely. Free merch and...
Absolutely. Got to go to the Formula One. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Got the hat. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Okay, folks. So, as Nick has kind of hinted, lots more to come from Coin Bureau in the coming weeks and months. Keep a lookout for other events happening. Like we said, TOKEN2049 happening in Dubai next year. And of course, we'll be keeping you updated with all the other stuff. All the other fun stuff and cool stuff that's happening in the crypto ecosystem and the Coin Bureau ecosystem as well. So, Nick, thanks for that. We're on different flights back. Because overnight. For the sake of the Bureau, we never travel on the same flight.
Exactly, because you don't want to be in the situation where, because if both guys are gone, the channel just goes dead.
Exactly. Someone's got to be in charge in the event of a disaster. So, in that case, we are going to get our flight fairly soon. So I'll see you back in Dubai back early next week.
Exciting times ahead, guys.
Cool.
See you there.
Stay tuned, people.